Most houses built before 1990 are likely to contain some asbestos. It was a building product used widely back then because it was durable, fire resistant and a good insulator. Now, of course, it's banned from use. Exposed asbestos fibres are a known health risk, but not something where you'll see an immediate effect. But don't panic. Most asbestos, if it's well maintained and coated with paint or sealant, is unlikely to be a problem. And the fibres are usually tightly bound together in cement or some other material. It's only when you or someone else disturbs asbestos through cutting, drilling, sanding, water blasting or removing asbestos panels that the fibres are at risk of becoming airborne and pose a higher risk to you and your family if they're breathed in. This means if you have plumbers, electricians, tilers, painters or the like visiting your house to complete work, or if you're doing your own home renovations, it's important to know where it could be. So, where are some of the places you might find asbestos lurking in your home? Hopefully, Louis will be able to help answer that question. Louis a former tradie who's now a Workplace Health and Safety Queensland inspector. What he doesn't know about asbestos isn't worth knowing. He's visiting Lauren today to show her where she might find asbestos in her home and provide some hot tips on how to best manage it.
How are you today?
How are you?
Good,
Thanks
thanks.
for coming over.
No problems.
So this is the house. We just recently bought this place, so we're really excited to get into renovating, but I've got a feeling there might be some asbestos lurking around though, so we haven't gone too crazy yet, but would really appreciate your opinion.
Sure. Typically for a house like this built before 1990, the rule of thumb is treat whatever you see here as possibly asbestos.
Okay.
And already straight up I can see some fibro sheeting up on your gables, also the gables at the front here, and also your sophites or eave.
Well, asbestos products can be found in many places in a home, a typical home, starting from the roof down and the exterior. You've got your roof, you've got your gutters, your downpipes, you've got your barging on the end, your gable ends, exterior sheeting on the walls.
If there's asbestos up there, is that going to be a risk?
As long as the fibro sheeting is well maintained and sealed, it's no risk to anyone. I guess at the end of the day, if you start disturbing it, cutting it, drilling it, that's when it becomes a risk to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we do want to do some renovations, so I better bring you inside and you can have a look.
Okay, look forward to it.
Most of the people that are most likely to contract an asbestos-related disease now would be tradies.
The builders, carpenters, electricians, because they're often drilling into things to put wiring through or plumbing pipes, or they're demolishing houses that they may not have recognised contain asbestos.
People doing roof repairs. People can even be exposed to asbestos fibres hosing off their roofs. Gurneying or high-pressure washing. It's not just the tradies that are at risk here, it's the home renovator, the do-it-yourselfer, the person who may not be able to afford to bring a tradie in, quite handy themselves, want to do a little home project. They'll take on the work, and quite often who helps dad out with the work? Could be even the kids.
And that's why we are very concerned to make sure that people that are working with asbestos, first of all, they recognise it, and secondly, they take the proper precautions.
Welcome to my home.
Oh, lovely.
I'll show you this little room first. This is my study. Got a lot of great ideas for this little spot, so I'd really like your opinion as to whether you think there's anything I need to be concerned about here.
Yeah, I reckon just because of the age of the house and just looking at the dimple effect on your wall sheeting here and the protruding nails, that's typical of an older type asbestos. And also your ceilings are the same.
Yeah,
so,
I can see the nails up on the roof there.
But like anything, you do get it tested before you do any work on it, but I'd be treating it as asbestos, definitely by that look there.
Okay.
No, other than that, it's all sealed, so it's safe the way it is. It's only when you disturb it. Have you disturbed the asbestos in any way?
One of the first things that my husband and I did when we moved in is we put in a whole lot of picture hooks. That little picture frame over there was one of the first things I put up, and we sort of went a little bit crazy, I guess, and put them up everywhere. Is that something I need to be worried about? Have we sort of inadvertently exposed ourselves in any way with that?
Just keep in mind that drilling into asbestos, that there is a degree of risk. It's a one-off exposure, so the degree of risk is very minimal.
Okay.
But please keep in mind that there is procedures for drilling asbestos.
The kind of asbestos dust that is harmful to health is of a particle size that you won't see with the naked eye. When you're working with asbestos materials, if you're wanting to drill it or sand it, you run the risk of creating quite a lot of fibres, thousands and thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of fibres, and those are dispersed into the air around where the workers are working.
Asbestos fibres cause a problem in the lung because they're long and thin, they're easily inhaled and they're hard to clear from the lung. And although our bodies can cope with a certain amount of fibres, there comes a point when your lung can't cope with too much asbestos. There are three main diseases that asbestos causes. One is asbestosis, which is the scarring of the lung tissue, and that prevents oxygen being absorbed through the lung and into the bloodstream. And the second, more serious one, is asbestos-related lung cancer. And the third and most serious disease is mesothelioma, and that's the cancer of the lining of the lung. Despite 20-30 years of research, we still don't have good treatments for it, and the average life expectancy is still measured in months rather than years. We should treat asbestos with caution, we shouldn't be afraid of it, but we also shouldn't ignore the risk.
Louis, one of the things I want to do is just get rid of this wall and like open up this space. Is that something that my husband and I can do ourselves?
Even if you wanted to remove that one sheet there, the same precautions are applicable, so it's got to be done by the book. The same risks apply.
If I was an owner of a home or a property that I wanted to renovate or demolish or alter in some way, or shape or form, I would get some advice and have the property inspected by a trained professional. They will identify the areas where it will exist, and then they can be recorded. We can even put stickers notifying people that there's asbestos on the property, and you quite often will find them in electrical boxes or inside linen closets or under the sink in kitchens, where a person or a trade person may normally go to conduct their work. That gives tradies or somebody coming to the property an opportunity to identify that there is asbestos on the property before they disturb it.
So Louis, this is the master bedroom, and one of the things that I want to do in this room is do some kind of cool feature wall, maybe a really nice wallpaper here.
Yeah.
Is this wall the same as the other wall in the study?
What I'm looking at here is the flat walls as such. There's no joins in it like the other room. Can't see any dimple looks, and just the feel of it, it actually feels like gyprock, and also your gyprock cornice up here, and possibly your gyprock ceiling as well. So to me, this has gone through a recent renovation. I'd probably get an electrician in just to pull those points off.
Yeah.
Get a sample behind those points just to confirm it is asbestos free.
Hopefully it's asbestos free, because then I can get stuck into this room straight away. In through here, it's a bit of a funny room for us.
I can see straight up by some of the sheeting here with the exposed nails and a bit of dimple in some of the sheets I can see that once again, like that first room we looked at, it would most probably contain asbestos.
Okay.
The same with your ceilings as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I noticed also the soffit sheeting. That's typical of a fibro asbestos type sheeting. I can see that all the holes are actually sealed with paint, so there's no real issue to you unless there's going to be new holes drilled. But I can see over here straight up you've got some cracking. And that's just from bowing and stretching over the years. Those cracks are actually sealed with paint. So there's no risk to yourself, but if that was a fresh crack, of course, well, you'd definitely get it sealed with paint.
Okay, I want to show this funny little patch down the end of the room. What do you think about that?
My thought straight up is definitely like you got your vinyl on top, and that's your underlay.
Okay.
And that's typical of the 70s type vinyl, that the underlay contained asbestos in this part here. And there's a high concentration of asbestos in there. There's probably 70 to 80% of the chrysotile asbestos in there.
Oh gosh, okay.
So with that type of product there, if we were going to remove it by stripping it, you need a licensed asbestos removalist to remove that there.
Okay, even that little tiny patch? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Don't put yourself at risk. We could take a sample just to confirm that as well.
Okay, well thank you. This is the bathroom. So again, this is a sort of funny room for me because the walls are like a melamine sort of material.
With this Lamy panel type sheeting, that is asbestos free. Same with your ceiling.
Yeah.
However, what's behind it, I don't know. At the moment here, the way it is, it's definitely safe.
Okay.
But if you go through another reno, just be aware of what could be behind the sheeting. Also in cupboards, there's also some surprises, because a lot of times when you do a renovation, a lot of people just leave that cupboard area as is. So, you can see. Can you see the timber? Look, that's an MDF type sheeting, which contains no asbestos. But I don't know what's behind that wall sheeting, so just take precautions there.
Okay. This is the other lino situation, I guess. We really want to rip it up. It's ugly, but again, we weren't sure if it was something that we should be doing straight away. What are your thoughts?
If you don't mind me pulling that strip up,
that's fine.
like that. As you can see, there's this one layer of vinyl here. It's like a rubber back.
Yeah.
So out of all the samples I've taken of this type of vinyl, they come back generally asbestos free. But as you can see, underneath we've got another layer of vinyl and also the underlay. And any of those two could possibly contain asbestos. So the precaution being, treat that as asbestos or get a sample taken of it.
Okay. That's a really good tip, because just by looking at it, if I'd assumed it was okay, we would have just ripped it up, not even thinking there'd be other layers underneath.
If after the asbestos removal project is over and you find that there's some asbestos dust or suspicious dust left over, and one has to be careful too in the cleanup, and that you don't just use any old vacuum cleaner. A household vacuum cleaner isn't designed for cleaning up hazardous materials, especially asbestos. Don't sweep it either. That will only create more dust and it'll spread throughout the house. Get some disposable rags, wet them down and wet wipe it up. And don't forget, dispose of the rags as contaminated waste.
Hey Louis, I want to show you our outdoor fencing through here. Is this something that we need to be concerned about?
Definitely, Lauren. This is a profile called Super 6. Super 6 can pit because it's not sealed. So with hail, rain, wind, sun, it all over time it starts to deteriorate and delaminate. So at the end of the day, it is a good thing to seal it.
Well, that's good, because we've actually sealed from the outside as well, so I can show you that. What about this little bit here? A truck actually backed into this, and it totally wasn't me, but is that something I need to be worried about?
There is some bare fibres that are exposed. The best thing you can do here, Lauren, is paint over that whole area, and that seals it.
Asbestos roofs, Super 6 roofing as they call it, and fences are a particular high risk. They've been subject to the elements over many years. You get a gurney or borrow a gurney for the weekend and you start blasting off the roof. The sand and cement that bonds the asbestos fibres within it, they've been washed out. So now you've got loose fibres, and then fibres have been spread all over the neighbourhood.
Well, Lauren, here's some more.
Okay.
And what this is here is just some fibro packing, and because of the age of the building, we'd have to suspect that that's asbestos as well. But having a look at it, as you can see, it's all sealed.
It's all very daunting, having so much asbestos in my home.
There's no need to be worried. Everything is sealed and safe. There's no risks of exposure of asbestos fibres into the air. There is one thing we will look at, is that lino, which I'll take a sample away for an analysis, and I'll get back to you on that. But everything today we looked at is fine.
I've seen people working on properties, doing renovations, little projects. I see people not taking the precautions, not having the appropriate PPE, using power tools, angle grinders. I've even seen people doing interior strip outs of homes and throwing the stuff on the front lawn for the kids to clean up or whatever later. No matter whether you're a homeowner doing a do-it-yourself project or a tradie, if you're doing any renovations on a property that has asbestos or you suspect it has asbestos on, you've got to take precautions. I don't think too many people take it serious until they've actually know somebody they've lost, or it affects themselves. That is all too late.
It may only take a couple of minutes now to drill a hole or knock out a wall, but really, is the risk worth it? The safest way to manage asbestos is knowing where it's located. If you're removing it, then get a licensed professional to do the job. Or if it's minor maintenance, then make sure you or the contractor in your house is using safe work procedures and the right equipment. Definitely don't break up asbestos sheets, and keep it wet down and wrapped in thick plastic until it can be safely disposed of. You don't want it to affect the health of your family or that of your neighbours. Disposing of asbestos correctly is really important too. The first port of call should be to contact your local council for advice. If you're concerned about work completed by a contractor on asbestos at your place, then contact Workplace Health and Safety Queensland for more help. Often, it's best to let sleeping dogs lie. If asbestos doesn't need to be disturbed, then don't touch it. Visit the Queensland Government website for more information.